The twin suns of Aurora 7 rose slowly over the crystal plains, bathing the planet in golden light. Towering spires shimmered in the morning glow, and the streets of the capital city were alive with early activity. Merchants arranged colorful stalls, while hovercrafts glided smoothly along the polished pathways. Above all, the royal palace gleamed, perched atop a hill of pure white stone, overlooking the bustling city below. Inside the palace, Princess Lyra moved gracefully through the halls, her eyes bright with curiosity. She was young but wise, with a mind that always sought new knowledge. Today, however, her thoughts were interrupted by an unusual message. The royal advisors had received a request for landing at the spaceport from an unknown traveler. The message was brief, and the traveler's origin was unclear. Lyra frowned. Aurora 7 was a peaceful planet, rarely visited by outsiders. Most travelers were traders or scholars, and the princess had seen them before. But something about this request felt different. She decided she must see this visitor for herself. The spaceport was vast and gleaming, a perfect mixture of Aurora 7's advanced technology and natural beauty. Hovering ships of all shapes and sizes docked on floating platforms. Lyra's personal shuttle landed smoothly, and she stepped onto the polished floor. The air smelled faintly of ozone and metal, a scent that reminded her of adventure. The traveler had already arrived. He stood tall, with a calm and quiet presence that seemed to command attention without effort. His hair was dark, his eyes sharp, and his posture straight. At his side, he carried a strange weapon that glowed with a soft blue light. It was unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. Its design was elegant, almost artistic, but she sensed it was also powerful. "Welcome to Aurora 7, Lyra said, approaching him with polite authority. "I am Princess Lyra. May I know your name?" The man bowed slightly. "I am Kale," he replied. His voice was calm, steady, and carried a hint of experience. "Thank you for welcoming me, Princess." Lyra studied him carefully. Kale's eyes seemed to hold stories, yet he revealed nothing. There was a weight to him, as if he carried memories that were both heavy and important. She felt an unexplainable curiosity. Who was this man, and why had he come to their peaceful world? Before she could ask more, alarms sounded across the spaceport. Red lights flashed, and the soft hum of machines turned into a warning siren. Lyra's advisors shouted over the noise, explaining that an asteroid cluster had suddenly entered the planet's orbit. These were rogue asteroids, remnants of a nearby comet that had broken apart, and they threatened the city below. Panic began to ripple through the crowd. Traders abandoned their stalls, and small craft scrambled to leave the area. Lyra felt a rush of fear, but she did not panic. She turned to Kale. "Do you know what to do?" she asked, though even she did not fully understand the danger. Kale's expression did not change. Slowly, he activated the weapon at his side. The soft blue glow expanded, forming a field of light that surrounded him. The weapon did not look like a normal firearm. Instead, it seemed alive, responding to his thoughts. With a subtle gesture, Kale extended the energy field toward the incoming asteroids. The crowd gasped as the largest asteroid slowed and gently shifted course, avoiding the city. Kale moved with precision, guiding the glowing energy to protect the population. Within minutes, all immediate danger had passed. The asteroids were diverted safely into the upper atmosphere, where they would harmlessly burn up. The people of Aurora 7 stared in awe. Whispers spread quickly. "Who is this man?" "He is extraordinary." Even Lyra felt a mix of surprise and admiration. "You have incredible skill," Lyra said, approaching Kale once more. "I have never seen anything like that. Your weapon, it is not from any technology we know." Kyle deactivated the glowing field and held the weapon carefully. "It is not meant to harm, Princess. It is meant to protect. That is all I wish to do here." Lyra nodded, though she could feel that Kale's story was far more complex than he let on. She wanted to know more, but she also respected his silence. Sometimes people carry burdens that they are not ready to share. The royal advisors quickly gathered around, expressing both relief and concern. "Princess," one said, "this visitor, he saved many lives today. Perhaps we should invite him to stay at the palace?" Lyra thought for a moment. There was something different about Kale, something that went beyond skill. She felt that he had a purpose on Aurora 7 that might not yet be clear. "Yes," she finally said. "Let him stay, but keep his presence discreet. We do not want unnecessary attention." Kale inclined his head, showing gratitude without pride. "As you wish, Princess." Over the next hours, Kale observed the planet quietly. He walked through the city, speaking to engineers, scientists, and local citizens. He asked questions that were thoughtful, careful, and precise. It was clear he understood advanced technology, but also the value of wisdom and patience. Lyra noticed that people instinctively trusted him, drawn to his calm and considerate nature. Despite his apparent ease, Kyle remained distant in some ways. He avoided talking about himself, his past, or the weapon he carried. Lyra tried to draw him out, but every question was met with a careful, measured answer. Still, she could see glimpses of his history in the way he moved, the way he watched the stars, and the way he handled challenges. As evening fell, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city. Lyra invited Kale to the palace balcony, where the view of the sparkling city and the vast sky was breathtaking. "You have seen much today," she said softly. "And yet, I feel you carry a story I cannot yet know." Kale looked at the horizon, his eyes reflecting the golden light. "Everyone has a past, Princess. Some choose to share it. Some choose to protect it." Lyra nodded. She sensed that Kale's past was not ordinary. He had faced challenges, traveled far, and learned lessons that few could imagine. But she also sensed that he was here now, for a reason, and that his presence might change the course of their peaceful world. Before she could speak further, a small alert blinked on the balcony's communication panel. A strange signal had been detected approaching the planet. It was faint, distant, and unidentifiable. Kale stepped forward, instinctively analyzing it with his weapon. His eyes narrowed, and for the first time that day, Lyra saw a shadow cross his calm demeanor. "This is someone from my past," he said quietly, almost to himself. Lyra looked at him, surprised. "Your past?" Kale nodded, though he did not explain further. The gentle glow from his weapon shimmered in the evening light. He had arrived as a stranger, but already he had changed the course of the day and perhaps the future of Aurora 7. "Princess," he said finally, turning to her, "I will protect this world, no matter what comes. That is my promise." Lyra felt a surge of respect and trust. She could sense that Kale's promise was sincere, and that his skills and wisdom would be invaluable. Yet she also knew that the faint signal in the sky might bring new challenges, and that Kale's past, which had remained hidden until now, could soon reveal itself in ways neither of them could predict. As the stars emerged in the darkening sky, Lyra stood beside Kale, feeling both curiosity and hope. The stranger had arrived quietly, without fanfare, yet his presence already felt vital. Aurora 7 had always been a peaceful world, but the arrival of Kale and the shadow of his past promised that extraordinary events were about to unfold. And somewhere beyond the horizon, a faint pulse of energy, like the echo of forgotten battles, signaled that the story of Kale, Princess Lyra, and the future of Aurora 7 was only just beginning. The morning sun cast soft light over Aurora 7, glinting on the crystalline spires of the city. The air was calm, but a quiet tension lingered in the palace. Princess Lyra moved through the halls, her mind filled with questions about Kale, the mysterious man who had arrived suddenly and yet seemed to belong somehow. Kale had spent the night in a guest chamber near the palace's east wing. Though he had slept little, his calm and disciplined presence remained. Every move he made suggested careful thought and experience beyond that of a traveler. Lyra had watched him walk among the palace staff and engineers earlier that morning, offering advice and suggestions with a quiet confidence. Though he said little about himself, his knowledge and skill impressed everyone. Lyra entered the study where Kale was already examining a map of the local star routes. "Good morning," she said. "I hope you slept well." Kale looked up and gave a small nod. "I slept enough. There is much to understand about this planet, and I wish to help however I can." Lyra studied him carefully. "You know so much about star systems, technology, and even protective energy fields. Where did you learn these things?" Kale's eyes flicked to the window as if watching something beyond the horizon. "I learned many things on my journeys," he said softly. "I studied under masters, traveled to distant worlds, and observed the ways people protect what they love. Knowledge is a tool, princess, and skill without purpose is wasted." Lyra felt a thrill of curiosity. She had always admired wisdom, and Kale's words carried both experience and humility. Yet she sensed he was holding back something important, something about his past that might explain why he carried his strange weapon and moved with such precision. Before she could ask more, one of the palace advisors arrived in a hurry. "Princess." "Lyra," the advisor said, slightly out of breath. "There is a report from the city. Some of the citizens are unsettled by the stranger who saved them yesterday. They respect him, but others are whispering that he may not be entirely trustworthy." Lyra frowned. "I understand their caution, but he saved lives yesterday without hesitation. That is proof enough of his intentions." The advisor nodded, though uncertainty remained on his face. "Yes, Princess. Still, some council members may view him as a political risk." Lyra thought carefully. Aurora 7 had always been a peaceful planet, but even in peace, caution was necessary. She turned to Kyle. "You must understand," she said. "Our people are not used to outsiders. They will need time to trust you fully, and some may watch your every move." Kale nodded slowly. "I understand, Princess. I did not come here to cause fear. Only to help if I can." Lyra studied him for a moment. There was honesty in his eyes, yet a shadow lingered. A hint that Kale's past contained experiences he was not ready to share. That shadow intrigued her. It was as if he carried a burden, and understanding it might reveal why he had come to Aurora 7. That afternoon, Kale walked through the city once again, this time with Lyra by his side. They visited the hovercraft docks, the energy labs, and even the training arenas. Kale offered insights suggesting improvements, but never with arrogance. He spoke with a calm authority that encouraged others to learn, rather than follow blindly. Lyra noticed how the people reacted to him. Children watched with wide eyes, mimicking his movements in playful imitation. Engineers paused to listen to his advice, impressed by his knowledge. Even the city guards, who were naturally cautious, nodded with respect as he demonstrated the proper way to manage energy shields. Yet despite his openness in action, Kyle remained guarded in speech. Lyra tried to ask questions about his past, about the worlds he had visited, the battles he had faced, and the masters under whom he had trained. Each time, Kale gave a measured, careful answer, never revealing more than he needed to. "I am curious about you, Kale," Lyra said as they walked through the crystal gardens of the palace. "You act as if you have seen much, yet you speak as if the past is not important. Why?" Kale paused, looking at the delicate flowers that glimmered in the sunlight. "The past teaches lessons, Princess," he said quietly, "but dwelling on it can blind you to what is happening now. I have learned that the future is shaped by action, not by memory alone." Lyra nodded slowly, understanding his words but also sensing that they were only part of the truth. Kale's presence felt like a key to something larger, an experience that could teach her much if only he chose to share it. As they returned to the palace, a messenger arrived with a small sealed packet. Kale's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw it. He took it carefully, examining the unusual seal, which bore symbols unfamiliar to him but clearly tied to his past. "What is it?" Lyra asked, curious. Kale's voice was steady but tinged with caution. "A message from someone I once knew. It is a warning and a request. I had hoped my past would not follow me here, but it seems that it already has." Lyra felt a mix of concern and intrigue. "Do you know what it says?" Kale shook his head. "Not yet. I must open it carefully. Some things are better read alone." Excused himself and retreated to a quiet chamber. Lyra watched him go, feeling a strange mixture of admiration and worry. She knew that Kale's past might bring challenges, but she also trusted him to handle whatever came next. Hours passed, and Kale returned with a serious expression. He did not speak immediately, but Lyra noticed the tension in his posture. The peaceful rhythm of the palace seemed to shift subtly, as if the very air sensed that something important was approaching. "I must prepare," Kale said finally. "This message is from someone who knows me well, and they are approaching Aurora 7. I do not know if they come as a friend or foe, but I must be ready." Lyra stepped closer. "You will not face this alone. I will help you, Kale. If your past comes here, we will face it together." Kale's eyes softened slightly. "Thank you, Princess. That means more than you know." Over the next few days, Kale and Lyra worked quietly to strengthen the city's defenses, not with weapons of aggression, but with shields, energy barriers, and strategic planning. Kale's knowledge of advanced protective systems impressed the city engineers, and Lyra's leadership inspired the people. They worked together seamlessly, though the shadow of Kale's past loomed quietly over every decision. During one evening, as the twin suns set and the sky filled with streaks of pink and purple, Kale and Lyra stood on the palace balcony once more. "Do you ever fear that your past will catch up with you?" Lyra asked softly. Kale considered the question. "I have learned that the past is not something you can escape. It shapes you, yes, but it does not have to control you. The important thing is how you respond when it arrives." Lyra nodded, feeling the wisdom in his words. Yet she could not shake the sense that whatever was approaching would test both Kale and Aurora 7 in ways they could not yet imagine. That night, the first faint signals of an approaching fleet appeared on the long-range scanners. Kale studied them carefully. The ships were unlike any he had encountered in recent memory, silent, advanced, and carrying the marks of a distant order he had once served. "They are coming," he said quietly, almost to himself. "And I do not yet know why." Lyra felt a chill of anticipation. The calm of Aurora 7, the peaceful city, and the simple rhythm of life, all of it seemed fragile under the looming shadow. Yet she also felt hope. With Kale's knowledge, skill, and careful guidance, she knew that they could face challenges together. As the stars twinkled above, Lyra realized something important. Kale's presence was more than a curiosity or a chance encounter. He was a protector, a guide, and perhaps the key to the planet's future. But she also understood that trust, patience, and courage would be needed as secrets from his past began to emerge. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the approaching fleet glided silently through space, unaware that they were entering a world ready to defend itself. Not with aggression, but with intelligence, unity, and the unexpected strength of an alien princess and a mysterious guardian. The skies above Aurora 7 were clear and calm, painted in the soft orange and pink hues of sunrise. Yet beneath the beauty, a quiet tension spread across the palace. Princess Lyra paced in her chamber, her mind alert with thoughts of Kale and the strange signal he had received. The mysterious fleet was approaching, and for the first time, the peaceful rhythms of Aurora 7 felt fragile. Kyle stood beside the palace observatory, analyzing the data streaming from the long-range scanners. The ships were unlike anything he had seen in recent years. Sleek, silent, and advanced beyond most civilizations, they carried the insignia of a lost interstellar order he had once served. Seeing their symbols brought back memories he had long tried to leave behind. Memories of missions, responsibilities, and decisions that had shaped him into the man he was today. Princess Lyra approached quietly, watching Kale's face as he studied the approaching fleet. "Kyle," she said softly, What are they? Friends or enemies? Kyle did not answer immediately. His eyes scanned the data, his mind racing through possibilities. I cannot be certain yet, he said finally. They belong to an order I once served. I trained with them, fought alongside them, and trusted them with my life. But something has changed. They may not be the same now. Lyra's brow furrowed. They could be dangerous. Kale nodded slightly. Possibly. Or perhaps they come, seeking help. But I must be prepared for anything. The palace advisors began arriving, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and concern. Kyle explained the situation carefully, showing the fleet's positions, trajectories, and capabilities. He spoke not to alarm, but to prepare. His calm demeanor inspired trust, even in those who were initially skeptical of his presence. We must strengthen our defenses, Kale said, but not for attack. The goal is protection. Aurora 7 is a peaceful world, and it must remain so. Lyra felt admiration for him. Kale's approach was different from what she had expected. He did not speak of destruction or retaliation. Instead, he focused on safeguarding life, guiding others to make the best use of their technology and strategy. The people of Aurora 7, she realized, were fortunate to have such a man at their side. Over the next hours, Kale moved throughout the Yaoi city, coordinating with engineers, energy specialists, and the city guards. He helped establish protective energy barriers around key areas, organized transportation for citizens to safe zones, and trained patrols to respond quickly without panic. Lyra watched, impressed by his precision, patience, and ability to inspire others to act decisively yet carefully. Despite the preparations, Lyra could sense Kale's mind was elsewhere at times, caught in memories of distant worlds and past missions. She wondered what events had shaped him, what choices he had made, and why he carried such a strange and powerful weapon. Yet she also knew that asking now might distract him from the urgent task at hand. As the twin suns dipped lower in the sky, a small probe from the approaching fleet entered Aurora 7's orbit. It hovered silently, scanning the planet, sending data back to the larger ships. Kyle observed it carefully, his expression unreadable. They know I am here, he said quietly. And they may know more than they should. I must be cautious. Lyra stepped closer. Can they harm us? Kyle shook his head slightly. Perhaps not intentionally, but their purpose is unclear. I cannot risk underestimating them. The probe sent a soft pulse of light, almost like a signal. Kale activated his weapon briefly, the soft blue glow expanding just enough to analyze the incoming energy. He smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and focus. They are scanning, not attacking, for now. Night fell over Aurora 7, and the stars sparkled above, painting a canvas of silver and blue. Lyra and Kale stood on the palace balcony, watching the horizon where the fleet hovered in silent anticipation. The ship's smooth hulls reflected the starlight, giving them an almost ethereal appearance. They are magnificent, Lyra whispered. And terrifying. Kyle's expression softened, though the tension remained. Magnificent, yes. Terrifying, sometimes. But they are not here to destroy without reason. There is purpose behind every action. We must understand it before we act. As the night deepened, a signal finally arrived from the fleet. A message encoded in a language Kale recognized immediately. His eyes narrowed as he decrypted it. It is from an old ally, he said softly. Someone I trusted with my life long ago. But his voice trailed off. A shadow passed over his calm demeanor. Lyra noticed the change immediately. But what? She asked, concern filling her voice. Kale turned to her, his eyes serious. This message warns of a possible betrayal. Someone from the Order has changed. They may not be what I thought, and their arrival could bring conflict, though I hope it will not. Lyra felt a shiver run through her. She had always trusted Kale's skill and judgment, but the thought of betrayal so close to their world was unsettling. What should we do? Kale considered the question carefully. We prepare. not for battle, but for protection. Aurora 7 must remain safe. We cannot let past mistakes or hidden agendas endanger the people here. The next day, Kale began to train the city's defenders in subtle, non-violent ways. He demonstrated the proper use of energy barriers, guided starships through safe routes, and taught citizens how to use technology to protect themselves without creating fear. Lyra joined him, learning quickly and inspiring others with her leadership. Throughout the day, Kale remained calm, yet his mind never stopped analyzing. Every movement of the approaching fleet was noted, every energy signature observed, every possibility considered. Lyra watched in admiration, realizing that his skill was not only in action, but also in thought, careful, precise, and deeply aware. By mid-afternoon, the fleet moved closer. The first large ships entered Aurora 7's orbit, casting long shadows over the planet. The people looked up in awe and fear, but Kale's presence reassured them. He guided them calmly, explaining that these ships might not be hostile, and that preparation was the key to safety. Princess Lyra felt a surge of respect and trust. Kale's presence was not only about power, but about responsibility. He had the ability to defend, but he used it to protect rather than dominate. That quality, she realized, was what made him different from anyone she had ever known. As night fell once again, Kyle received a direct message from the approaching fleet. The message was formal but clear. They sought to meet him, requesting a meeting at the edge of the planet's orbit. Kale's expression remained calm, but Lyra sensed the weight of the moment. "They want to speak with me," Kale said quietly. "This could be a test or a trap. I must approach carefully." Lyra nodded. "You will not go alone. I will accompany you, Kyle. If your past is coming here, we will face it together." Kale looked at her, a faint smile forming. "Your courage is admirable, Princess. Together we may find answers and ensure Aurora 7's safety." The stars above seemed to shimmer in response, as if acknowledging the unspoken bond between them. Kale's past, Lyra realized, was no longer hidden. It had arrived at their world, bringing both uncertainty and opportunity. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the fleet waited silently, unaware that they were entering a world prepared not for war, but for wisdom, unity, and the unexpected strength of a mysterious guardian and a determined princess. As the night deepened, Kale and Lyra prepared for the meeting, knowing that the next hours could change everything. The shadows of the past had arrived, but Aurora 7 would face them not with fear but with courage, intelligence, and the strength of its people united under the guidance of two remarkable individuals. The first rays of dawn touched the crystal spires of Aurora 7, casting long, gentle shadows over the city. Despite the beauty of the morning, a quiet tension hung in the air. Princess Lyra and Kyle had prepared for hours through the night, coordinating defensive measures, reviewing energy barriers, and ensuring that the citizens were safe. The approaching fleet remained in orbit, silent and imposing, but the people's fear was tempered by Kale's calm and careful guidance. Kale stood on the palace balcony, the glowing energy of his weapon resting at his side. Lyra joined him, her eyes searching the horizon where the fleet waited. "They have not made a move yet," she said quietly. "Do you think they will attack?" Kyle shook his head. "Not necessarily. Their approach is cautious. They are testing, observing. But I cannot be certain. Sometimes those we once trusted change without warning. That is why I must show them strength, but wisely." Lyra nodded, sensing the weight of his words. Kale's calm exterior concealed not only skill but also experience, wisdom, and a history she could only guess at. The palace alert chimed softly, indicating that one of the fleet's smaller ships was moving closer. Kale activated his weapon, the soft blue glow extending outward in a delicate shimmer. This time it was not for attack, it was to communicate and protect, a demonstration of the weapon's capabilities. Lyra watched in fascination. The weapon pulsed with energy, forming a pattern in the air that resembled a network of interconnected light. It sent a signal that could be read by any advanced technology, translating intention into clear, non-violent communication. Kyle's skill with it was precise, showing not only mastery but also an understanding of diplomacy through action. The approaching ship paused, hovering at a distance. A message came through, formal, respectful, and acknowledging Kale's presence. It was from a high-ranking officer of the interstellar order Kale had once served. They requested a meeting to discuss Kale's role and to clarify why he had traveled to Aurora 7. Kale looked at Lyra, his expression steady but focused. They wish to speak. This is an opportunity. We must be ready, but our goal remains protection, not confrontation. Lyra felt a mixture of curiosity and concern. Kale, will you tell them who you are? Kale's eyes softened. I will, Princess, but carefully. The past is delicate, and some truths can be dangerous if revealed too quickly. My weapon, my skill, all of it is tied to who I was and who I am now. I will reveal what is needed to ensure safety. The meeting was arranged near the outer orbit of Aurora 7, where the palace's protective barriers extended outward like a shimmering shield. Kale and Lyra boarded a small craft, designed for both speed and protection, and moved toward the awaiting ship. As they approached, Kale activated his weapon fully. The glow expanded, forming a protective halo around their craft, capable of deflecting energy signals or accidental collisions. Lyra marveled at the precision and elegance of the design. Unlike weapons she had read about in old histories, this device was not built for destruction. It was built for defense, for guidance, for protection. Inside the fleet's ship, Kyle met the officer who had sent the message. The interior was sleek, minimal, and clearly designed for efficiency. The officer, an older figure with calm, calculating eyes, greeted Kale with respect. Kale, the officer said, voice steady and formal. We have followed your actions. Your skill and your method of protection are remarkable. We wish to understand why you have chosen to serve Aurora 7 rather than return to our order. Kale bowed slightly. I am here because Aurora 7 is peaceful, and its people deserve protection. I no longer serve your order in the same way I once did. My duty now is to life, not conquest or enforcement. The officer's eyes narrowed, studying him carefully. You were one of our finest guardians. Your skill with the energy weapon was unmatched. Few could control it as you do. Why did you leave? Kale inhaled deeply, choosing his words carefully. I learned that true protection comes from understanding, patience, and unity. Power alone does not protect. I left because I wished to use my skill where it could save lives, not dominate them. Aurora 7 needed guidance, not conflict. That is why I am here. Lyra watched silently from behind Kale. She could feel the tension in the room, the weight of Kale's past pressing against the present. Yet she also understood the wisdom behind his words. This was not a tale of revenge or aggression. It was a story of responsibility and care. The officer nodded slowly. Your principles are clear. Your weapon, your skill, they are not meant for war, but for protection. I see now why you have chosen this path. Kale allowed himself a small smile. That is all I wish for. To protect, to guide, and to serve life wherever I can. Outside the ship, the fleet maintained a cautious orbit, its technology scanning for threats. Kale's weapon continued to glow softly, a visible symbol of calm power. It was more than a tool. It was a message. That strength could be wielded without harm, that wisdom could guide action, and that courage could protect without violence. The meeting concluded, Kale returned to Aurora 7 with Lyra. The princess looked at him with newfound respect and understanding. Kale, your weapon, your skill, it is more than I imagined. And yet, it is part of who you are. I see now that your past does not define you. It guides you. Kale nodded. The past is a teacher, princess. It shapes us, but it does not bind us. What matters is how we use the lessons we have learned. My weapon is a reflection of that philosophy. It can harm, yes, but I choose to use it for protection, for guidance, for life. Lyra felt a sense of pride and hope. Aurora 7 had faced challenges before, but never with a guardian like Kale by their side. His presence was a promise that the planet could remain peaceful, even in the face of uncertainty. In the following days, Kale and Lyra worked tirelessly to strengthen the city's protective systems. They trained citizens, organized safe routes, and tested energy barriers. Kale's weapon was central to their preparations, not as a tool of aggression, but as a beacon of safety. The people of Aurora 7 watched in awe, learning that true strength was not in destruction, but in wisdom, skill, and care. Yet, as the days passed, the subtle shadow of uncertainty remained. The fleet's true intentions were not fully known, and Kale's past, while revealed partially, still held mysteries. Lyra could sense that more challenges were approaching, and that the lessons Kale had learned in distant worlds would be needed here. One evening, as the twin suns set and painted the sky with hues of gold and violet, Kale and Lyra stood on the palace balcony watching the city below. "The fleet remains in orbit," Lyra said softly. "Do you think they trust us now?" Kale shook his head slightly. "Trust is earned through action, not words. They will judge us by what we do, not what we say. But I believe we have shown them that Aurora 7 is protected by more than weapons. It is protected by wisdom, unity, and courage." Lyra smiled. "And you have shown me that too, Kale. Your past, your skill. It is a gift to this world. And I hope together, we can face whatever comes next." Kyle looked at her, a faint smile touching his lips. "We will, Princess. Together we can face anything. Knowledge, patience, and courage. They are more powerful than any weapon. And now, the people of Aurora 7 have both." As the night deepened, the city glimmered beneath the stars, peaceful and safe. Kale's weapon pulsed softly in the darkness, a silent guardian watching over life. The fleet remained in orbit, aware of the protection and unity that had been demonstrated. For the first time, Kale allowed himself to feel a sense of calm. His past had arrived, his skills had been tested, and his principles had been shown. Aurora 7 was safe for now. And Lyra, standing beside him, understood that courage, wisdom, and careful action could shape the future, even in the face of uncertainty. Somewhere, beyond the horizon, faint signals from the fleet suggested that challenges were not yet over, but for the first time, the people of Aurora 7 could rest, knowing they had a guardian who wielded not only a weapon, but wisdom, honor, and a deep respect for life itself. And for Princess Lyra, the realization was clear. Kale's past was not a burden to fear, but a guide to understanding strength, protection, and the true meaning of courage. The skies over Aurora 7 were clear and vibrant, yet tension lingered as the fleet remained in orbit. Princess Lyra stood on the palace balcony beside Kale, her gaze fixed on the distant ships. The past days had been filled with preparation, strategy, and careful observation. Kale's weapon, his knowledge, and his guidance had protected the city and its people, but the final challenge still awaited, understanding the true intentions of the approaching fleet. Kale activated his weapon briefly, the soft blue glow shimmering in the morning light. "They have come seeking answers," he said quietly. "Answers about me, about the choices I have made, and about the planet I now protect. We must show them not only skill, but the strength of unity." Lyra nodded, her heart swelling with confidence. "Aurora 7 is peaceful, but we are prepared. And we have you." Kyle's expression softened. "I am here to serve, Princess. But true protection comes not from one person alone. It comes from everyone working together, understanding, and respecting life." The fleet slowly moved closer, its ships forming a silent circle around the planet. Communication signals reached Aurora 7, transmitting messages of inquiry and caution. Kale and Lyra prepared to respond, not with aggression, but with clarity and wisdom. We will invite them to speak, Kyle said, but on our terms. We will meet them in orbit where both sides can observe respect and caution. The princess agreed, and soon a diplomatic meeting was arranged. Kale and Lyra boarded a small reinforced craft, their path guided by his weapon's protective energy. As they approached the fleet, the ship's metallic surfaces reflected the light of Aurora 7, creating a display of shimmering silver and gold. The fleet's officers waited, their posture calm but alert. Kyle, one of the officers began, your actions have been observed. You have chosen to protect this planet, to guide its people, and to demonstrate restraint. Why have you abandoned your duties to our order? Kale looked at them steadily. I did not abandon my duty. I redefined it. True duty is protection, not power. I have seen the cost of aggression, the damage caused when strength is used without care. Aurora 7 deserves guidance, not conflict. My mission here is to protect life, and my actions reflect that purpose. The officers exchanged glances, some impressed, others cautious. Kyle continued, speaking calmly but firmly. My weapon, my skill, and my past are tools. Tools for defense, for guidance, and for ensuring that life is preserved. I will not allow fear or misunderstanding to lead to harm. Lyra watched him silently, admiration growing with every word. She realized that Kale's strength was not only in his ability to act, but in his understanding of responsibility, morality, and unity. One of the officers spoke again. You demonstrate wisdom, but we must know, who threatens this planet, and can we trust that your protection is absolute? Kale's eyes narrowed slightly, recalling the signals that had arrived days ago. No threat is absolute, but preparation, careful planning, and unity are our greatest shields. Aurora 7 is safe because its people are willing to learn, to cooperate, and to act together. That is true strength. The officers paused, considering his words. Slowly they nodded, acknowledging that Kale's philosophy was sound. One officer, a younger figure with a kind but determined expression, stepped forward. We see that your methods are effective. Your weapon, while powerful, has been used responsibly. You have chosen the path of wisdom, and we respect that. Aurora 7 is fortunate to have you here. Kale inclined his head respectfully. Thank you. Respect is earned through action, not words. I hope our cooperation will continue to protect this world, and perhaps others, in the future. With that, the officers signaled for their ships to adjust orbit, giving Aurora 7 more space and reducing the sense of threat. The fleet remained nearby, vigilant, but no longer hostile. The people of Aurora 7, watching from below, cheered quietly, sensing the resolution without fully understanding the complex negotiations above. Back on the planet, Kale and Lyra returned to the palace. The city buzzed with renewed energy, a sense of relief mixed with curiosity about the mysterious guardian who had protected them. Children imitated his movements playfully, citizens praised his wisdom, and the engineers marveled at the improvements he had suggested for their technology. Lyra turned to Kale, her eyes bright with understanding. You have shown me what it means to be a leader, a protector, and a guide. Your past, and it has shaped you, but it does not define you. You choose how to use your knowledge and skill, and that choice has saved this world. Kyle smiled faintly. The past teaches lessons, Princess, but it is how we apply those lessons that matters. Aurora 7 is strong because its people care, because they act together, and because they value life. My weapon, my skill, they are tools to support that strength, not replace it. Lyra felt a deep respect and admiration. She understood now that leadership and protection were not about power alone, but about wisdom, courage, and unity. Kale had shown her that, and in doing so had strengthened her own resolve as a future ruler. Over the following days, life on Aurora 7 returned to its peaceful rhythm, though a sense of excitement remained. Citizens had witnessed extraordinary events, learned new ways to cooperate, and felt inspired by Kale's example. The princess and Kale continued their work, improving energy systems, training city guards, and preparing for any challenges that might arise in the future. One evening, as the twin suns set and painted the sky with gold and violet, Kale and Lyra walked together through the palace gardens. The soft glow of the flowers and the gentle hum of distant hovercrafts created a serene atmosphere, a reminder of the peace they had worked to protect. "Kyle," Lyra said softly, "do you ever think about returning to your old life, your old order?" Kyle shook his head. "My life now is here. The lessons I learned in the past guide me, but my purpose is to serve life, not orders or titles. I have found a place where I can make a real difference, and I will stay as long as I am needed." Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of hope and determination. "And we will continue to protect this world together. I have learned from you that courage, wisdom, and unity are the strongest forces we have. Aurora 7 is lucky to have you." Kyle's weapon glowed softly at his side, not as a tool of war, but as a symbol of protection, guidance, and hope. The people below looked to the sky, sensing a guardian who embodied courage, wisdom, and care. Weeks passed, and the fleet remained in a distant orbit, maintaining communication but no longer a threat. Kale and Lyra used the time to strengthen the city, teach citizens about energy systems, and train new guardians for the planet. The knowledge Kale shared ensured that Aurora 7 would remain safe, not just because of one person, but because of the community united in purpose. One evening, as the stars twinkled above, Lyra stood beside Kale on the palace balcony, reflecting on the journey they had shared. "Your past, your skills, they were extraordinary. But what you have done here, for this world, is even more remarkable. You have not only protected us, you have inspired us." Kyle looked at her, a faint smile on his lips. "Inspiration comes from action, Princess. I only showed what is possible when we act with care, wisdom, and courage. The people of Aurora 7 have the same potential. They just needed guidance to see it." Lyra nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride and hope. She realized that Kale's presence had not only safeguarded the planet, but also strengthened its people, preparing them for any future challenges. As the night deepened, the city below glimmered with life and energy. The twin suns had set, leaving a sky full of stars, a reminder of the vast universe beyond Aurora 7. Kale's weapon pulsed softly in the darkness, a guardian watching over life, a symbol of strength and wisdom. For Princess Lyra, the lessons were clear. True leadership was not about power alone. It was about understanding, protection, courage, and unity. And Kale, the mysterious stranger with a past he had once hidden, had shown her that even the greatest challenges could be met with intelligence, care, and a deep respect for life. Together, they looked out at the stars, ready to face the future. Aurora 7 was safe, its people inspired, and its leaders united in purpose. Kale's past had arrived, tested, and now served a higher goal: to guide, protect, and inspire life wherever it could thrive. The alien princess, once unaware of the full story, now understood the depth of Kale's strength and wisdom. His past, his weapon, and his skill had not defined him. They had guided him to a world that needed courage, care, and hope. And in that moment, under the endless sky, Aurora 7 had a future brighter than any twin sunrise could offer.